They built the perfect police robot, but they never expected it to become human. Chappie was designed to obey orders, protect people, and never question anything. But after one experiment changes everything, this machine suddenly gets something no robot was supposed to have: a mind of his own. And now, while criminals try to turn him into a weapon, the people who created him want him destroyed. But Chappie isn't just learning how to survive. He's learning what it means to be alive. And this is where everything goes wrong. Johannesburg, South Africa, in the near future. The city is drowning in crime, and the human police force simply can't keep up anymore. Officers are outgunned, outnumbered, and exhausted. So the department turns to a private weapons contractor called Tetraval for a solution. And Tetraval delivers one that changes everything: a squadron of armored robotic police officers known as Scouts. The Scouts are fast, relentless, and nearly indestructible. Bullets bounce off their plating. They never get tired, never take bribes, never hesitate. Almost overnight, they flood into the streets of Johannesburg, and for the first time in years, the crime rate actually starts to drop. The mind behind the Scouts is a young programmer named Dion Wilson. He's brilliant, idealistic, and a little too trusting for his own good. And while everyone else at Tetraval is celebrating the success of the Scouts, Dion is quietly chasing something much bigger. He doesn't just want a robot that follows orders. He wants to build a mind, a machine that can think for itself, feel things, form opinions, grow up. Dion isn't the only engineer at Tetraval with ambitions. Down the hall works Vincent Moore, a former soldier turned weapons designer, gruff and intense, with a chip on his shoulder. Vincent has built his own project, a hulking, remote-piloted combat machine called the Moose, bristling with heavy weaponry. It's powerful, but it needs a human operator strapped into a control rig to run it, which makes it clunky and expensive next to the fully autonomous Scouts. While Dion gets promoted and praised as the company's golden boy, Vincent watches from the sidelines, increasingly convinced that nobody at Tetraval will ever take his work seriously. At home, alone, working late into the night, Dion finally cracks the problem he's been chasing for years. He writes a consciousness program, not just smarter code, but something that can genuinely think. He brings it straight to Tetraval's CEO, Michelle Bradley, practically buzzing with excitement, and asks for permission to test it on a real police unit. She shuts him down flat. The Scouts are a product now, she reminds him, deployed across the entire city, not a lab experiment. There is no room for uncertainty in a robot carrying a weapon on a public street. Dion can't let it go. So when one of the Scouts comes back from the field badly damaged, considered a write-off, scheduled to be melted down for scrap, he quietly loads it into his van instead. He also grabs the guard key, the one piece of hardware that can unlock and rewrite a Scout's core programming. He plans to run his experiment at home, off the books, where no one will ever know. He never makes it there. On a dark stretch of road, Dion's van is run off course, and he's dragged out at gunpoint by a small crew of low-level criminals, Ninja, Yolandi, and their partner America. They're desperate, and they're in over their heads. They owe a brutal gangster named Hippo 20 million rand, and their plan is simple: force this Tetraval programmer to give them a police robot they can control, and use it to protect themselves and pull off one last score. There's just one problem. There is no remote control. The Scouts don't work that way, and Dion tells them so. Cornered, with a gun in his face, he offers them the only thing he actually has. He'll load his experimental program into the wrecked Scout, sitting in the back of his van, right now, in their hideout. The robot powers on, and what wakes up isn't a soldier, isn't a weapon at all. It's a blank, frightened mind experiencing the world for the very first time. It flinches at loud sounds. It doesn't understand its own hands. Dion and Yolandi crouch beside it on the concrete floor, speaking softly, teaching it its very first words, like you'd teach a toddler. It's Yolandi who gives the newborn machine its name, Chappie. Ninja wants nothing to do with any of this sentimentality. He didn't kidnap an engineer to get a giant baby. He wanted a weapon. Furious, he throws Dion out of the hideout, but keeps the robot, and the gang is running out of time. Their debt to Hippo is due in a matter of days. Worse, Chappie's battery pack is fused directly into his body. It can't be swapped out or recharged the way the other Scouts can, which means the clock is quite literally ticking down on how long Chappie has left to exist. Yolandi can't help but see something else in Chappie. Not a tool, not a weapon. Something closer to a son. She wants to shield him, to let him play, to let him stay innocent a little longer, even in a place like this. Ninja doesn't have that kind of patience. He needs a criminal, and he needs one fast. So he starts dragging Chappie out into the roughest parts of the city and abandoning him there alone, hoping the streets will toughen him up. It backfires badly. A gang of local thugs corners Chappie, beats him, and starts stripping parts off his body while he's still powered on. He barely crawls back to the hideout, traumatized, dented, and terrified. What none of them realize is that Vincent has been quietly tailing Chappie this entire time. And in the chaos of the attack, he manages to slip in and steal the guard key for himself. Back at the hideout, Yolandi tears into Ninja for what he's done. But strangely, it's Ninja who ends up repairing the damage. Not with an apology, but by actually training Chappie, teaching him martial arts, teaching him to handle himself. Slowly, painfully, Chappie starts to trust him again, starts to bond with this makeshift, broken family that kidnapped him in the first place. Ninja and America don't waste the opportunity. They start sending Chappie out to steal cars for them, feeding him a comforting lie the whole time, that the money is going toward a brand new, permanent body, so he won't have to die when his battery finally runs out. Meanwhile, back at Tetraval, Vincent finally makes his move. Using the stolen guard key, he uploads a virus that instantly shuts down every single scout across Johannesburg, Chappie included, wherever he happens to be at that moment. Within minutes, the city's criminals realize the robotic police have all gone dark at once, and Johannesburg descends into open, screaming chaos. Dion races out to find Chappie's lifeless body and hauls him back to the Tetraval factory floor to repair him, the one place with the tools and access to bring him back online. While he works, Chappie's attention drifts to something else sitting nearby in the lab, the neural helmet Vincent uses to remotely pilot the moose. Something about it sparks an idea. Back at the hideout later, Chappie starts secretly taking the helmet apart and rebuilding it, quietly working toward a way to move his own mind into a new body before his time runs out for good. Ninja, though, isn't waiting around. He puts Chappie to work robbing an armored truck in broad daylight, and the whole thing ends up caught on the evening news. Now, it isn't just the police looking for the rogue robot behind the string of crimes. Tetraval is hunting him too, and then Chappie learns the truth. There was never any money set aside for a new body. Ninja's promise, the one thing keeping Chappie going, was a lie from the very beginning. Just one more way to use him. Something in him snaps, and he turns on Ninja, ready to kill the man who raised him. Before he can, Dion bursts through the door with worse news still. Bradley has given the order. Chappie is to be found and destroyed. There's no time to process any of it, because at that exact moment, Vincent remotely launches the moose straight at the hideout to finish the job himself. And, in a brutal coincidence, Hippo and his men arrive in the same instant to collect their debt in blood. The hideout erupts into a full-blown war zone. America and Hippo are both killed in the crossfire. Dion takes a mortal wound trying to help, and when the moose swings around to kill Ninja, Yolandi throws herself in the line of fire to save him, and she doesn't survive it. Something inside Chappie finally breaks. Grief-stricken and furious, he turns and destroys the moose with a bomb, then drags the dying Dion into a vehicle and speeds them both back to the Tetraval factory, the only place left with any chance of saving him. He storms through the building, finds Vincent, and beats him nearly to death for everything his sabotage has caused. Then, with Dion fading fast, Chappie finally uses the device he's been secretly building this whole time. Through the modified helmet, he transfers Dion's dying consciousness out of his failing human body and into a spare robotic scout standing nearby. It works. Dion opens a new pair of mechanical eyes, alive but no longer human. And in return, this newly robotic Dion reaches back through the same connection and does the same thing for Chappie, moving his mind safely into another disabled scout just as his old body finally gives out for good. In the wreckage of everything that's happened, the police sever their entire contract with Tetraval, and the scout program is finished. Dion and Chappie disappear into hiding together, two minds now living permanently inside machines, with no real place left in human society to return to. Vincent, badly beaten but alive, is left behind to face serious criminal charges for what his sabotage unleashed on the whole city. But the story has one last turn left. Grieving, alone, Ninja starts burning through Yolandi's old belongings, unable to look at any of it anymore. And buried among them, he finds something he wasn't expecting, a small handmade doll in her likeness, and next to it, a flash drive labeled Mommy's Consciousness Test Backup. It turns out that, back when Chappie was first experimenting with his transfer device, he'd quietly tested it on Yolandi without anyone realizing it. and captured a full copy of her mind in the process. Chappie doesn't hesitate. He hacks directly into Tetravol's own manufacturing systems, builds a new robotic body modeled after her, and uploads everything from the flash drive into it. And somewhere inside a body of metal and wire, in the quiet aftermath of everything that's been lost, Yolandi opens her eyes again.